Secrets locked away from us in a vault, never to see the light of day. Things that we will never know from just watching the edited show put in front of us on television. Thankfully for us today, the official DVD and Blu-ray releases of each season of Survivor contain quite a lot of secrets that you would never know from just watching the edited television show. And that is what this video will be diving into today, as some of these secrets are game related, some are personal thoughts, some are just plain silly, and we will even find out where Survivor was originally going to be located and called before 9/11 happened, and what Neleh is up to nowadays. And if you don't already know, you may be pleasantly surprised. As long as it isn't part of the show aired on television, it is fair game to be considered a secret. While most of the secrets here are focused on season 4 Marquesas, some of them do apply to Survivor as a whole. So with that, I want to thank you for watching what I make and ultimately supporting what I do here with liking, commenting, and sharing. For only a few bucks a month on Patreon, you can pick what videos I make, watch all this channel's content early, chat with other fans of the show, and even get exclusive videos every month. Thank you for your support. To be clear, there is so much good stuff locked away in these extra features that it would be too much to feature every single thing in one video. So I do recommend you watching them in full for yourself. However, this list contains the secrets that I found to be personally the most interesting. So with that, let's count all 36 of them in absolutely no particular order.
39 days, 16 people, 1 survivor.
Number 1. Something we don't get when binging an older season nowadays is the marketing that was happening while the show was airing, and how CBS would present certain players outside of the show. Would they help them? Would they make them look dumb? Well, for Boston Rob, they leaned heavily into selling him as the Rob father.
On Survivor, one man has been pulling the strings.
I'm the one that's controlling it for the most part.
And manipulating the castaways.
You're gonna do what I tell him to do.
He was the Don of the island.
That's straight out of The Godfather.
But now he's on a new tribe, and his reign could be over.
Don't count me out.
It's the Survivor You Can't Refuse, all new CBS Thursday.
Number 2. I feel like this next secret may be the most well-known out of everything I'm going to be presenting in this video, but it comes with a lot of additional details. So as you may or may not know, Survivor was originally supposed to be filmed in the Middle East for season 4 until 9/11 happened, and basically changed the safety of that idea. Now, what is crazy to me is how much time and money was spent on prepping a location that ended up not being used at all.
I was in Jordan prepping Survivor Arabia when the unfortunate incidents and disaster of September the 11th, 2001 occurred. I'd spent a couple of $1 million of CBS money on this prep.
Number 3. Okay, so they couldn't shoot in Jordan, and we know where they ended up actually filming. Plus, all that prep time and money has been flushed down the toilet. So how much time did he have to prep this new location without delaying the season?
Basically, it also said to me, what are we going to do? And I said, well, I feel I have to check, but I would imagine the insurance covers this. And Leslie said, well, maybe it does, but that's not going to cover the advertiser commitment. You need to find somewhere else. And I said, Leslie, it took me like 8 months to prep for where I am, and we're shooting in 8 weeks or something. He said, you'll figure it out, and hung up on me. Put the phone down. Click. I was like, whoa. And I did figure it out. You know, that's what makes Leslie Moonves a great leader.
Number 4. I really feel for Mark Burnett having to do all this work in such a short amount of time. Clearly, they couldn't pick the perfect location with only 8 weeks, and sacrifices had to be made. One of those sacrifices, and I use the word sacrifice here a bit loosely when you find out the answer, but one of the sacrifices they had to make was where they housed the production crew.
I had to bring in a cruise ship because there was not enough places to house the crew in the Marquesas Islands, remote islands in the South Pacific. Couldn't even put tents up because the groundwater was too high. If people were peeing and doing their business, there's no way it wouldn't be environmentally hurtful, and we can't support that. So a cruise ship was brought in, which cost money, obviously. And
Number 5. Now, in an interview with Kathy Vavrig O'Brien, she reveals a bit more about this madness of how rushed production was, with this observance as a player showing up for the first time and witnessing all of the scrambling.
But when we got there, they put us in tents out in the jungle for like 3 days, and they kept saying it was, we just wanted to test you guys staying out here. I came to find out later what was they hadn't secured the permitting. So I found out later that they hadn't ironed out the money. So they had to do this just to like prolong stuff.
Number 6. And speaking of Kathy, she ended up being the fan favorite character by the time season 4 finished airing, but had she even seen Survivor before she went out and played?
I didn't know what I was doing, man. I just didn't know what I was doing. I think I caught in the airport, they were showing Survivor Africa, and I think I saw two 30-minute or hour segments, and I went, oh, is that what it's all about? I did not watch that show. So you can see why when they threw me on that beach, I wasn't good at it in the beginning. I was awful.
Number 7. Vecepia winning is one of my favorite moments in all of Survivor. Seeing someone be so excited to win is one thing, but seeing them give glory to God when doing so is even better in my opinion. What none of us realized when watching this reaction to her win is that she straight up passed out.
Somebody was asking me, did I hit a coconut? What did I hit? I didn't know if I hit anything, and I rolled over, and all I could remember was banging my feet, and then I went black. For like 3 seconds, went totally black. Really? I didn't hear anything. I didn't feel anything. And the next thing I know, I hear Neleh going, "Big, get up!"
Number 8. So Vecepia had a grand old time, and despite that brief passing out, she seemed to do okay. However, Kathy is another story, as when she was voted out, she had some PTSD.
The biggest point was getting back to reality after being in an experience. Was I had a little post-traumatic stress disorder, which I was totally floored by. So thank God the CBS therapist, the psych was there with me. But so in the middle of the night, I woke up and the jungle literally was on the walls. I was very lucid when I woke up.
Number 9. This next secret makes me feel a little bit awkward, like I need time to fast forward the video quickly past this moment awkward. Like Michael Scott promising kids scholarships and then not delivering on them. Oh boy. This one is weird. I honestly cannot believe this question is asked about Paschal and Neleh, who are 35 years apart, by the way, when nothing like this was even remotely hinted at on the island.
Now, Paschal, you talked often about your affection for Neleh, and I was wondering if when you got home, you had to explain again to the wife and daughters that I loved her like a daughter.
No, not at all.
No.
Number 10. Something I love about these older seasons is how the winners aren't just handed a check by Jeff 2 seconds after they get the win. They get a designated segment on the early show to bask in the moment, and here is Vecepia's.
Congratulations, you totally earned it.
V, way to go.
Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate it.
There's your new name.
Number 11. Most players' exit words this season are lame. Not even Boston Rob's are that much fun, but he does something no one else really does, and I think this is a big reason he is asked back to All-Stars, besides him being the Rob father.
The speech that Mark gave us right before we left about taking time to look around and remember where you are before you know it's going to be over, that really worked wonders with me. And the whole production crew, the camera crews, the associate producers, you guys are unbelievable.
Number 12. While his final words are full of sucking up to the show, his next morning interview with The Early Show is a bit better as he reveals that his dumb move to touch the water and lose the game was not solely his fault.
You got a little cocky there, didn't you? Splashing that water.
Without a doubt, Jeff actually provoked me to do it.
He provoked you?
Oh, without a doubt, he did.
Oh, blame Brett. Go ahead, blame Jeff.
We were having such a good time out there, and I felt really confident on my feet. I've been around boats my whole life. I really didn't think I was going to fall in. So he said, "You feel so confident." I was running my mouth the whole time. Reached down and tried to splash Tammy.
Yeah.
So I did, and that was it.
Number 13. Do you recall the merge meeting that Kathy and Boston Rob had where they got properly drunk and things got a little messy? Well, apparently they got so bad, so out of hand that production had to cut them off from drinking anymore.
By the way, you guys made up the name of Soliantu.
Yes, that's correct.
What was it, the sacred allegiance to the sun?
Right.
Means nothing.
Means nothing.
No, absolutely nothing. We had a couple too many beers that night.
Did they really cut you off after a while on the beers?
Yes.
Really?
You
Yes.
had 22?
I think we drank a lot. I lost count, but at one point they said, "That's enough, go to bed."
Number 14. This next secret is more of a where are they now type of situation, and I only bring it up because of how interesting it is to me. Neleh, the runner-up on Marquesas, lives in Utah, and she does something that for me comes right out of left field, but now I want to go and try it.
That was a little odd from TV reality star to corn dog owner, but that's exactly what's happening. And here, you're going to get a corn dog, a fried pickle, or a fried candy bar. You'd think after 14 years, Neleh would be a thing of the past with Survivor.
Even after all these years, I've still been able to use that platform and doing good for so many different places. We have such an interesting life. I mean, my husband he is a very witty, funny guy. We own a corn dog truck. Like, that's random enough as it is.
Number 15. Remember that advertisement I showed you for Boston Rob earlier? While that was silly and fun, at least it stayed true to what was happening on the show. This next ad tries to act like the castaways discover that skull they do in episode 7, and we'll now learn who he is and what exactly happened.
CBS Thursday. It's a night of mysteries.
It's a skull of a man.
Who is it? And how did he get here?
Blunt trauma to the head.
Which is not what happens at all in the show. In fact, in the show, all they do is just play a guessing game as to what they think happened, but unless someone fed them information, they have no idea. Number 16. It always interests me who has and has not seen Survivor before playing and whether they will play well and if they will be big characters or not. So for Sean Rector,
God is good. My faith in God is definitely what got me through, because I never watched Survivor. There's no rules to say how to play. You just got to go with your gut.
You never saw Survivor?
I never watched Survivor.
You got tapes of it, though, before you went?
I bought the Outback tape like a couple of days before I went, just to see the premise and what's going on. And I was like, but you can't base 16 other people from another show. I was like, well, I'm just going to let the chips. I've never been in the ocean. Everything was a new experience for me, so I just went with my heart every step of the way.
Number 17. Keep in mind that what Sean is saying here is as Marquesas is airing, but he predicts that casting will never, ever, not in a million years, cast 2 black men in the same season. He doesn't even know about the eventual Cook Islands twist, of course, nor does he know about the change CBS has now made to their casting. So I think he's probably proud of where they are now.
You think we'll ever see a Survivor to get 2 black guys in the same show?
Never. After me, never.
Number 18. Sometimes interviewers just dumbfound me with their questions. Like this next thing I'm gonna show you, where this early show interviewer asked Hunter, why on earth does it list you as a former pilot on the show? As if Hunter's editing these episodes.
I have a dumb question. Why did it say former Navy pilot? I've been dogging you on that for a couple of weeks. It occasionally would say FedEx pilot, but it would say former Navy pilot. What kind of moniker is that to have underneath you?
Well, I am a former Navy pilot.
But
I used
most
to fly
people
off
don't say,
aircraft
I don't say former high school student.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I didn't write the little monikers down there. So.
Number 19. Vesepia went into Marquesas with a game plan, and in her preseason press, she reveals what it was, and I would say she nailed it. And it may have been the biggest reason she even got to the end in the first place.
There are 3 things that the military really taught me, and one thing was adaptability. To be able to adapt to any environment regardless of what's going on. The second thing was understanding your leader. So you appoint a leader and you stand behind that person, regardless. And then the third thing is having focus.
Number 20. While Vesepia was more reserved on the show, she was a complete nut in her audition tape, and it really is too bad that there wasn't more of this from her on the actual show.
I'm the true survivor! I'm ready! Bring it on, baby! Yeah!
Number 21. Boston Rob in his preseason press is so cocky, but if you've ever watched him on Survivor or The Amazing Race, you would know this is standard Boston Rob. However, I will point out that he is the only person of the 16-person cast to say this, and he doesn't say which season.
Without a doubt, I am going to win this game. That's how I feel. It's a bold statement, and if I don't, then it will be my own fault.
Number 22. The General shares some traits with Boston Rob because he is also cocky to the point where he says he never loses at anything, but then funnily enough acknowledges his greatest weakness, which is the opposite of what he just said.
Slow and steady wins the race. And if you look for me, that's where I'll be. I'll be at the finish line waiting for you, because I always win. I never fail. Sometimes that's what I think would get on that's how I could beat myself, my overconfidence. That's why I have to constantly keep myself in check and watch myself, because I tend to get very overconfident.
Number 23. If you want to know how slow the game used to move back in the olden days of Survivor, Patricia played for 6 days and claims that she didn't hear one player say anything the entire time about an alliance.
They sort of created their own little alliance, right?
I guess. We never mentioned alliance.
No.
It was everything's so behind the back.
Why didn't you mention alliance?
I thought it was too early to try to form that up. Hunter and Gina and I were close. We never said we were aligned. But we knew we would never vote against each other. I mean, it was just kind of unspoken.
Number 24. Marquesas had a similar start to Borneo as part of their marketing campaign to say survivors back to the beach, which is smart. They had to come up with something since the Middle East fell through. And seasons 2 and 3 had no beach. The castaways all jump off a ship and paddle to shore, and while in Borneo we get an indicator to let us know how long it took them to get to the shore, in Marquesas we don't really get anything like that. Pascal just says he doesn't know how long it took, but it took forever. But Sarah, in her early show interview, actually reveals her estimation on how long it took.
I was the lightest one. A couple people had asked me to sit in the middle of the raft. I'd also been sick for 3 hours, just throwing up from being seasick. And
yeah, that was a long ride. It was 4 hours total.
It was 4 hours for just the rowing of that little raft in.
Number 25. Now this next secret made me do a spit take. As you learn from watching the show, Sarah and Boston Rob had a serious flirtmance on the island. If Rob Sesternino were there, he probably would have told us about how they're going to do it. But I'm gonna let Sarah drop some new info on you about her love life.
I met your boyfriend out here just a couple minutes ago. He's very cute. What did he think, though, of you guys together there on the island?
We hadn't been dating that long when I left, and he wanted me to have a really good time. He's a very understanding, very unselfish person.
He must be.
Yeah, really strong guy. So, he wanted me to have a good time.
Number 26. I think we all wonder and could probably guess what would have happened had Vecepia stayed true to her deal with Kathy at the final 3 and went with her instead of Neleh. Kathy likely wins. In this interview, Sean confirms this and breaks down how he thinks the voting would have gone.
How do you think it would have played out if it had been a final 2 of Vecepia and Kathy?
So my answer is not only no, but hell to the no. It would not have happened. Yeah, Vecepia would have definitely. Matter of fact, it would have been Kathy would have got a landslide. It would have been 8-1. Because Vecepia would have got my.
Number 27. Teresa Cooper, aka T-Bird, was a fun addition to season 3, and she should have been voted into season 31. But as it turns out, she was not originally supposed to play in Africa and was instead supposed to play on Marquesas.
I was actually supposed to be on Marquesas.
Oh.
And at the last, I went out for Africa, but then they called me. Lynn called me and she said, T-Bird, I got good news and I got bad news. Bad news is you're not going to Africa. We're going to hold you for the next one. Now, I don't know that she said Marquesas. She just said, we're going to hold you for season 4. And then that changed.
Number 28. As part of the fall of the Rotu 4, some of the Rotu members won immunity along the way that inevitably slightly delayed their demise. Well, when the general won individual immunity, he avoided his fate for one more tribal. But as it turns out, this could have been very different if he had his way and Tammy let him do something different.
After the general won immunity, did you think he was going to give you the idol?
You know, as soon as he won, I walked up, I gave him a hug, and he whispered in my ear, I'm giving this to you, you're not going anywhere. And I told him...
He actually said, I'm giving this to you.
He whispered in my ear, I'm giving this to you, you're not going anywhere.
And you're thinking, great.
No, actually I wasn't. I told him, I said, no. I said, you earned this. I said, we'll see what we can do, but you're not giving me your immunity.
You told him to keep it?
Yeah, I did.
Number 29. How did Neleh not win in a 6-1 vote against Vecepia when the entire jury, 6 of the 7, consisted of the original Rotu, her tribe? Well, the general provides some insights as to why Vecepia was able to win.
I changed at the tribal council because I asked a question. Probst looked at me. He goes, are you satisfied? I said, no, I'm not satisfied. I said, neither one of them answered my question. So he stopped the filming, stopped production, and he said, he's right. Neither one of you are going for it. Neither one of you are trying to grab it.
You did vote for
Vecepia won 4-3.
Yeah, you did vote for Vecepia.
I changed right there. I said to myself, if I'm not going to win, when I was voted out, this is what I said to myself. If I'm not going to win, I'm going to be the one who decides who wins. So I told them I was going one way and went the other.
Number 30. When John Carroll calls himself Johnny Pots and Pans as if this were some sort of common knowledge at the final tribal council, I thought to myself, who has ever called you this? Well, thankfully, the general reveals the origin story of where this nickname even came from.
It was the first night we were together. We didn't have our shelter yet. We didn't have anything. And we just talked all night. And that's when I started giving out the names. That's when I called them Johnny Pots and Pans. And I started giving out names to everybody. And
Number 31. Gina was given a lot of confessionals for someone who seemed pretty unimportant for the overall story of the season and someone who didn't do anything crazy on the island. So I was thinking to myself, is she some sort of celebrity? Why is she getting all this airtime? Now, I am not 100% if this has anything to do with it, but she apparently is kind of a big deal in a certain community.
I guess you're wondering why I'm eating this watermelon and wearing this crown. If you were to ask any of my friends who Gina Cruz is, they would probably say she's the Watermelon Queen. And that's because in 1996, I was the Florida Watermelon Queen, and in 97, the National Watermelon Queen.
It's actually a public relations job, and I traveled around the United States, Canada, and Mexico promoting watermelon.
Number 32. So we know Sean and Kathy had never seen Survivor before going on the show, but we have yet another person to add to that recruit category, and this player, in my opinion, is probably the biggest bust out of them all.
You never saw Survivor.
No, I hadn't.
You never watched the show. You don't watch much television.
No, 12
first
miles
place.
off the coast of Maine, we get about 3 stations, and that's about it.
So why'd you do this?
It was kind of a dare.
Number 33. Now, during this interview with Zoe, some favoritism is revealed by the interviewers, and it comes up in another interview as well as to who they think is going to win it all.
You didn't talk about Sean, because I think Sean's going to win the whole thing. And at first, have you been watching each of the shows?
Yes.
Are they showing what really happened, or are they kind of building it up to make him look bad early on? Because he's shining now.
Talk to us about Sean.
I think Sean's going to win the whole thing.
Mark's convinced he's going to take the whole thing.
I wasn't initially. Now I'm on the Sean bandwagon.
Number 34. This next secret is a bit awkward, I think, for everyone, and I truly wonder what level of success it had at all. But Zoe apparently made a pinup calendar? Why?
So Zoe is a pinup girl.
Let me tell you something.
My son's on that page too. He was very pleased.
Look at June. Look at
June.
Look at June.
A year in the life of Zoe. Now, this came out
There's
after
June.
Survivor?
No, actually, that was something I was working on way before deciding to do any Survivor.
Take a look at that.
Number 35. Is this really a secret? I don't know. But let's be honest, the castaways talk about food 1,000 times more than what we see on TV. Heck, Boston Rob and Sean needed bedtime stories from the general about food.
It was funny that him and Rob used to come to me all the time, and at night after we ate our little meal, and they'd be like curl up on the raft and they go, Rob, tell us about food. And I would describe like the process of making it and everything. They were like, yeah, you actually see the drool coming down the sides of their mouth.
Number 36. Now, earlier I said pretty much everyone's final words were a complete wash. They were boring. And this is true. I mean, I do love seeing emotions come out of players as they get blindsided. But for Tammy's final words, she's not emotional. But there is something funny here. The editors do not edit her final words at all. They just let her talk and talk, and while she isn't emotional, there are long pauses of sitting and thinking about what she wants to say as she flubs her lines over and over and over again.
You know, I didn't come into this game to make friends, and somewhere along the way I did make a few friends that I'll probably end up keeping for years down the line. That's stupid, I don't want to say that. You know what's funny about this game is that the people that are left they don't look like they're going to make it another 8 days, let alone, you know what's funny about this game is some of the people that are left don't look like they're going to make it another 4 days, let alone 8 days.
So which secret blew your mind the most? Comment below and let me know. Thanks for watching, and if you like the content you see here, then please consider supporting me in this channel on Patreon. Your financial support makes this channel possible, so thank you, and thank you for watching.